Hello, good evening. Welcome to Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studios here on the John Hammond Street. Also live on our numerous affiliates across the country, around the world. We're streaming live on 3news.com. Download the TuneIn app from the Google Play, Apple iOS Store. Listen to us on the go. Coming up on this evening's edition of The Bulletin, a new dawn in Parliament as Alexander Fenyomarkin assumes leadership of the Majority Caucus. Meanwhile, there are conflicting reasons for the resignation of long-time leader Osei Mensah Bonsu. Also ahead in the bulletin, NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama leads a dialogue on his 24-hour economy policy. We have all you need to know for the next 60 minutes. Plus, Finance Minister former Finance Minister, I should say, Ken Ofori-Atta, appointed as Senior Presidential Advisor and Special Envoy for International Finance and Private Sector Investment. I'm sure that's something you want to get a bit more details on. All of that and more if you stay with us for the next 60 minutes, including business, sports, and entertainment. This is Hot Edition. Don't touch your dial. A pleasure that you could be a part of this evening's bulletin. It's streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM927. Same handles on Twitter, now X as well. 3FM927. Leave a message for us in the stream on Facebook. Trust that we'll do the reading for you. Or on Twitter, as I still like to call it. Tweet at us with the hashtag Hot Edition, and I'll do the reading for you. But we're beginning from Parliament this evening because there's a new dawn there as the Member of Parliament for Ifutu, Alexander Fenyomarkin, assumes the leadership of the Majority Caucus. It follows his confirmation by the National Council of the governing New Patriotic Party at an emergency meeting earlier today. The Ifutu lawmaker had been rumored to succeed Osei Mensah Bonsu, who resigned as the Majority Leader on Wednesday. It had long been speculated that the governing party was planning to change its front bench as part of the preparation towards the December general elections. This led to tension between the national leadership of the party and some select MPs within the caucus. Well, some MPs, notably from the Ashanti region, had resisted the proposed change, prompting an emergency meeting with the president on Wednesday. But Osei Mensah Bonsu in Parliament today offered reasons why he decided to step down.
Mr. Speaker, following the reshuffle that His Excellency the President has caused to his government, the matter came to be raised as to whether there should be a change in the leadership of the party in Parliament, that is the Majority Caucus. A lot of discussions have gone on in respect of the subject matter. Some of them very informed, others unfortunately not informed. The discussions had the potential of degenerating into consequences, the end results of which could be rather fatal, or, as I have stated elsewhere, rather cataclysmic for my party in our effort to break in the eight, which effort has thus far in the Fourth Republic not ended successfully party in government. We in the NPP have trust. We believe in our ability to achieve this with God by our side, even if there may be some rampaging storms as of now. Mr. Speaker, it was amidst the discussions that at a meeting of the caucus, which the President had requested, I tendered my resignation as Majority Leader in order to still the storm and facilitate peace and unity required for the party at this time. The Speaker, that decision that I made was not within the presence of Parliament. This morning, I summoned the caucus meeting to formally announce to my colleagues that I have elected voluntarily to step down as the majority leader and, by that, leader of the House. Ahead of the meeting, the National Party had been informed and invited.
So that's Osei Mensah Bundu, now the former majority leader in Parliament. And here is a national organizer of the NPP as well, who confirmed what the new leadership of the NPP would be in Parliament.
The party is grateful to the majority caucus. There have been some deep and detailed consensus building on this matter. Before then, it is already in the news that voluntarily the majority leader stepped down. So I can confirm that from today's Emergency National Council meeting, Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin is now the majority leader. Honorable Patricia Appiagyei, MP for Asokwa, is the deputy majority leader. Honorable Frank Anodompre, he was the chief whip. He still is the chief whip. He is the MP for Nsawam Aduejiri. Then Honorable Habib Idrisu, he is still the first deputy whip. He is the MP for Tolon. And then we have a new addition, Honorable Alexander Alex Tete Junubua is also the second deputy whip. He's also from Akotomra in the Western
obviously, MPP
North
always believes in
region.
competent people.
So for the New
for
Patriotic
over
Party,
decades.
today National Council, this is the reconstruction of the leadership of the New Patriotic Party in Parliament, majority caucus in Parliament. So we say congratulations to them all. The General Secretary will be issuing an official communication very soon to this effect. So we are happy for this. As I said, the Honorable Majority Leader is still going to give experience to his rich experience. Let me put it that way. He's been Majority Leader for almost about 15 years or so. So for the New Patriotic Party, it's just a one-item agenda. It was an emergency National Council meeting.
Will the majority leader keep his portfolio as Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, or that has also been transferred to Afenyo-Markin?
Certainly, he's still the Minister in charge of Parliamentary Affairs.
So he will still keep his role as
Exactly.
So that's Nana B, Henry Nanaboche is national organizer of the governing New Patriotic Party, all but confirming what the new make and look of the governing New Patriotic Party will be in Parliament. And so we're taking you to the House now, where we can hear now from the majority leader, the new majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who had this to say after all was said and done in Parliament earlier today.
We've been struck with post-COVID consequences. We are having a situation in Ukraine and Russia where, Mr. Speaker, world trade is being disrupted. So no government is having it easy. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure my colleagues that together I will be committed into ensuring that we work hard to break the eight. Honorable Minority Leader, I just want to plead that in this hallowed chamber, let us do everything we can to promote democracy. Let us assure our people that we don't fight in this chamber. That in this chamber we discuss issues, we deliberate without personalizing it. I promise you that. And even as we go out there to talk to our people, let us make them understand that the essence of democracy is to discuss ideas. After all, both parties have had the opportunity to govern this country before. You are coming back seeking the mandate with your old records, which records we know. We are coming in with our existing records and our new visionary leader, which you know. So, Mr. Speaker, let's set out the issues and make sure that the right things are done to ensure that we sustain this democracy.
Alexander Penyumake, let's touch base in Parliament where my colleague Komla Kluche sat through all of it. He's joined us via the phone. Komla, many thanks for speaking to us this evening. You were in Parliament today, sat through the entire process. What was really a ceremony for the change in leadership? Talk to us about the reaction from the majority in particular to this new change in leadership, which was confirmed today.
Well, I think I can only describe this as novel, and novel in the sense that in the life of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, this has never happened before, and so it's a ceremony on its own. In terms of reaction, we didn't really get any reaction except just an acceptance of this from the NPP majority side, who have been urged by both the outgone and the newly appointed majority leader that there's a need for them to work together hand in hand for the greater goal of ensuring that the NPP retains power, political power in the December election. Chairman Sabonso especially, called for a lot of collaboration and support, the very same they gave him to his predecessor as we speak. And so, to some extent, yes, I would say that that acceptance by the majority was quite clear, except to say that very little of them are willing to speak on this matter, because to some of them, as emotional as it is or it has become, it's quite a sensitive matter. But at the end of the day, there's a need for them to accept what the new order is, because, it has yielded to change. And so that's what they need to accept. And that's what the situation is as we speak.
A lot of them not wanting to speak to this matter. We know that in the lead up to all of the confirmations today had to do with the Ashanti caucus and the concerns they had raised about the change in leadership. Notable of them all is the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who we get indications was not present in Parliament all throughout the ceremony.
Mawuena, surprisingly, the first Deputy Speaker, I saw him in Parliament, not in the chamber, but he sat throughout the entire thing at the coffee shop. And the coffee shop is just a second's walk from the chamber. As to why he decided, for want of a better word, to boycott this, we are unaware. But what it is that we can confirm to you is that, yes, of course, the first Deputy Speaker was in Parliament. He was in Parliament. However, he did not take part in this novel ceremony, even though he was within the precincts of the House, but decided to just be at the coffee shop. And after all was said and done, he walked away. And I saw him, when the House had adjourned, he walked away towards Job 600 where his office is. Presumably so. We didn't approach him, though, for this, but we know how much he's averse to this change. And so, it was quite obvious that he didn't want to be a part of it.
He yesterday expressed a concern, or expressed the opinion rather, of being disappointed in the decision by Che to step down from the position. How is the new leadership in Parliament planning to reconcile some of these individuals? A very huge figure like the first Deputy Speaker and a long-serving member of the party as well in Parliament the next 10, 11 months.
Yes, I spoke to the first Deputy Majority Leader, the Deputy Majority Leader, Madame Patricia PJ, who admits that, yes, of course, one, there's a need for them to forgive each other. And in forgiving each other, that does not necessarily mean that any sin was committed. However, they must deliberately forgive each other. When that is done, then they can go ahead and foster unity. And those admissions that she made, quite obvious that, yes, of course, they admit that there are some deep cracks within the majority, and all of this needs to be addressed really, or else it may be difficult going forward for the majority side, and that remains a concern.
So on the part of the majority, they've reached that agreement that things need to be done. Let's talk about the minority. Well, not really within their remits. It's all good for them if things go downward for the governing party. But how did that side of the house as well react to everything that panned out in Parliament today?
You can clearly see that, they are not happy that Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, with a wealth of experience, is leaving for the first time in the 27 years or so, the front bench. In the words of the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Toforson, it's a void, but, well, they have to learn how to move on with this, and they are ready to work hand in hand with the new majority leader. And for them, they are there to represent their people and also make laws for their people, and so therefore they are ready to work.
Right then, Komla, many thanks for those details. That's Komla Kluche, my colleague in Parliament, providing a bit more for us in terms of context and interesting perspective. It introduces to what transpired in Parliament today. The first Deputy Speaker of Parliament and Bekwai MP Joseph Osei-Owusu not being in the chamber for the entire ceremony, which saw Afenyo Markin become the majority leader, was seated at the coffee shop, according to Komla Kluche, and made his way to his office when the proceedings was done, when the House was adjourned. As what all of this means, just one simple thing, that not everybody really is happy with the decision in the change of leadership, but Oseche Mensah-Bonsu himself has been asking for peace, that all waters be calm, and that they forge ahead towards elections 2024, which the party is seeking to win. That mantra of breaking the eight has been on for quite a while as well, and so that's it for him in terms of his perspective and all of that. But let's bring you a bit more reactions in terms of what persons have been saying, and we'll start off in the Futu constituency, where residents there express elation to the appointment of Alexander Afenyo Markin as the new majority leader.
The appointment of Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin has brought a lot of joy to we, the people of Ofutu in Winnipeg. Why are we saying that? Over the period, our Member of Parliament has risen through the ranks as a parliamentarian through to Deputy Majority Leader and currently as the Majority Leader in the House. We believe that he's a unifier, he's somebody who can bring both the NPP and the NDC together to promote Ghana's agenda. Hence, we are saying that we are so proud and so much happy that leadership now was a man. Papa some Ghana men, parliamentarians now. Over Vessanasi, I won't expect before for crowd on a boy for you, Madam Papa.
From the Futu constituency, we'll take you to Asokwa, where Patricia PJ's constituent as well had this to say with her rising to the position of Deputy Majority Leader.
Deputy Majority Leader. I was Shem Crime and Bark. So, Bohomodun, Bedu baby, a Bema between the Namiasi. Ask for my constituency on the MP, Monyama Yensu.
I congratulate her for this position. We've been looking up to that position, and we thank God for everything.
So what would be your advice to her?
My advice to her is she should stay focused.
Resident from the Asokwa constituency, and my colleague Komla Kluche did mention that he caught up with Patricia PJ. Here's exactly what she had to say in that interview.
ready and up to the task in a very short time.
How daunting would it be with respect to making your front, or not just your front, but the entire majority caucus united ahead of the work you have?
I see it as a daunting task because of the numerous reasons for any kind of situation that we are faced with are not something that is cast in iron. I think it's a human issue, and therefore it will require certain strategies and certain efforts to make sure we bring our majority side together to be able to face the challenge and bring the 8. And I don't want to go because it's just too early in the day. And I cannot give you too much details because I also work under certain leadership, and we need to get our acts together and put up a real effort to ensure a united front, to ensure that even those who are leaving Parliament will be interested in the work left for the next 9 months that will be in Parliament.
Do you think there's a need for you to forgive yourselves for anything?
Oh, definitely. As human beings, sometimes you are not even aware that you have stepped in the toes of others. And what we need to brace ourselves with, especially in this period, I'm a Catholic and it's Lent time. At this point in time, we have to learn to forgive each other. It is not somebody forgiving you, but you, even if you forgive yourself, you realize that the responsibility becomes lighter, and the relationships we are able to build relationships, and we are able to put ourselves together for the challenges ahead of us, especially in this election year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patricia PJ there. Let's connect with William Evans Sinkum from the stronghold of the governing New Patriotic Party as to what all of this means. You must remember that there's a regional balance conversation that's been had in the background, reason for the changes that has been seen in Parliament. Let's connect with him. He has a bit more insight for us this evening. Evans, talk to us. The constituents you've been speaking to have hailed the appointment, but what have you been finding out in the background as to what really might have pushed Patricia PJ as the most preferred candidate from the Ashanti region?
Well, so Mawuena, interestingly, her name wasn't even being one of those talked about in the public domain. And all along, we've heard that Enyimedu Entry, the Member of Parliament for Asante Achim Central, was the one who was leading the pack as far as replacement for Oseche Mensah Bonsu was concerned. I mean, 2 months back, his name has been on the radar in Parliament. So Patricia PJ's name came as a surprise, but to her constituents, it's a welcoming news for them, because in terms of carving a political niche for herself, it's a woman that you will say that she's well established within the political fraternity as far as the stronghold of the ruling MPP is concerned. First woman to have occupied the position of a mayor in the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, of course, having assumed the position of Member of Parliament since 2012, even against all odds, when people thought that she was going to lose her position because of the strong campaign she did for Alan Kojo Chematen in the lead up to the presidential primaries. She was able to maneuver her way through. So for her, two things are being said about her. One has to do with the fact that, yes, she holds some level of political tenacity, and it's good that she's been pushed to that position. Of course, in the case of women, or talking about women empowerment, the women here are also very much so happy about her appointment.
Right, Sir Evans, I'll have to hold you on here and get onto the phone lines and speak to Dr. Kwesi Amachi-Boateng. He's a senior lecturer at the Department of History and Political Science at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Dr. Amachi-Boateng, many thanks for speaking to us this evening. So we've been speaking to my colleague William Evans in Kum as to what really might have worked the magic for Patricia PJ and what has been a regional balance conversation all throughout as this planned reshuffle was orchestrated. What is evidence, though, is that not everybody is happy. Your general thoughts as to how all of this has been handled, particularly from the part of the NPP up until this point?
Well, generally, you expect that a decision of this nature should emanate generally through the party's established institutional structures that enable the party to relate to matters of this nature and even unanticipated issues. It should be possible for the party to have constitutional provisions to guide their actions and inaction. But then the challenge with the recent development is that from all intents and purposes, you realize that it was something that party members simply were taken aback. You never saw it coming. You didn't see anyone invite them to a meeting. The party structures that they know simply were not invoked to guide this particular decision. And so, we were all thrown into that sort of a frame. And the parties, some of them reacted the way they did when the Honorable Joe Owusu led some of them to, issue the statement that they made. That particular, development is what really gave indication of the fact that the whole thing wasn't being carried out through the established party structures.
Really, how could the governing party have made an error so glaring as this? The NDC did a similar thing, and it caused great disaffection within the base in Parliament. And yet, for a governing party, they decide to do something similar and opts to do it in the same manner, which caused disaffection for the opposition party for themselves.
Well, this is what is getting all of us wondering as to why we should have something of this nature happening, especially in the case of the governing party. Now that they are in, such an interesting position, their desire to, hold on to political power, and at the same time, the sort of charism that, have come up in the party, disaffection in several parts of the country, you want them to be more cautious, going about any development at all that has the potential to, break up the ranks of the party. They weren't cautious. They just went about it the way they wanted to. So you get an impression of power play, and simply looking at that as an end in itself, as to what happens to the party, if you like, becomes a different thing for the actors behind this development.
Right. So for you, it's an issue of power play, because there are those who've asked the question, what really is the purpose of this leadership change? What really did it answer? The NDC's argument when they decided to reshuffle was that the next election was going to be an election based on the economy and conversations on the economy. Hence, they needed an economist of some sort to lead the business in Parliament for them. What possible reason does the NPP have to offer or show to its base in the Ashanti region as to why they decided to take the majority leadership position from them?
Actually, I've been trying to come up with something, but so far I've not been able to do that. I have difficulties really understanding what could be the real reasons behind this and how this could inure to the fortunes of the party. I should be sincere. I don't have any response to what, the reason could be, because it was not needed. It was not needed. Between now and the time elections are conducted, you want to get some experienced hands to lead their affairs in Parliament, which almost invariably tend to have repercussions on society. So this is not a time to go in to replace, their best hand. The timing is so, unfavorable. And two, the mechanisms that, ended up in the change too is another issue. So you realize that they knew they couldn't get it through properly established channels in the party.
Right.
In a way, some of us called it a coup d'etat. They had to find a way to, simply push themselves through, bully, and get their own way. Who is doing that and why is still an issue that we are looking answers for.
Let's move the conversation a bit forward in terms of what it is that both parties have now in terms of leadership from Parliament. Alexander Penyomarkin, Dr. Kesela Tuforsin. Going forward, really, comparatively, who appears to be having the better hand now in terms of the dealings of the House?
You realize that economic issues dominate political activities after elections all the time in democracies. Because of that, if your best hand is not someone who is knowledgeable in economics, not someone who has been, working on these issues over the period, then definitely you are going to have some handicap. So obviously, that Tuforsin is going to, call the shots and simply. He'll be putting, his opponent, if you like, in uncomfortable situations going forward.
And the regional balance conversation, because they both now are from the central region. Can this be seen as a long game where each of the parties are seeking to secure a considerable amount of votes, considering the argument is always made that they both start every election with at least 42% of the votes?
You realize that politics in central region has its own unique features. They don't necessarily sort of vote for political parties on the basis of the individuals from, these parties, who is contesting from their region in this party. On an occasion, they didn't vote for President Mills, Central Region. On another occasion, they didn't vote for Professor Jane Nana when he was a running mate. So Central Region has its own ways of doing things. You want to go down there and really understand, the rationale behind their actions and inactions in elections over the period. So this singular action as an end in itself will not necessarily inure to the fortunes of the MPP. The economy is in terrible shape. And no conversation, no development is going to take people's minds from economic issues because it deals directly with bread and butter.
Right.
And the hardships people are going through are going to really determine, who they vote for, the party they vote for.
The First Deputy Speaker was not a part of the ceremony today, despite being in Parliament. The indication we get is that he was seated at the coffee shop and did not take part in everything that happened. In terms of mending the broken bridges, how should the party, particularly the new leadership, go about this, considering they may not enjoy the support of everyone?
We are not going to be able to get anything significantly done, looking at it from their angle. If anything at all, individual members of the party in Parliament who are disaffected by this development will have to dig deep into their own selves and then their their reason for being in the party and simply raise their level of understanding beyond the ordinary and allow things to go so that they also, support what happens in the party. I don't expect the leadership who himself is seen as having been part of the whole plot. Because, information coming out indicate that he was in the known of everything that was unfolding, whereas the majority leader himself, the person at the center of the whole development, was kept in darkness. It smacks of a plot. And if that indeed was the case, then definitely the person who has eventually become the beneficiary, would lack the credibility to go to anybody to ask him or her to, if you like, support him and stuff like that. His leadership lacks legitimacy.
That's Alexander Penyomarkin.
Definitely.
Right then, Prof. Doc, I appreciate that you could provide these thoughts for us this evening here on Hot Edition.
You're most welcome.
That's Dr. Kwesi Amachi-Boateng says that the leadership of Alexander Apenyo-Markin lacks credibility. A lot more on this for you all throughout the weekend. If you stay with us here on TV33 FM, there's a conversation that will be extended on key points as well. But let us know what you make of everything that's transpired all throughout this week. From Monday thereabout, let us know, because it started from that National Council meeting where it came up. That conversation of a change in leadership came up, and what we understand is that it was not discussed at all. It was dropped during that conversation, prompted the press conference by the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Wusu, on Tuesday, where he announced that nobody was going anywhere. They're satisfied with the leadership they enjoy in Parliament, and that if anybody suggested that there was a defect in leadership, then it means all of the current crop of leaders had to go. That was the position of the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Fast forward to Wednesday, Osei Mensah Buntu, late in the evening, news of his resignation gets out, and then that has been a back and forth up until this point, with the National Council meeting also confirming the new leadership. Like I mentioned, let us know what you make of this. This is Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. It's a Friday, the 23rd of February. Usually on days like this, the news is not always so booming, but it's been back to back to back to back to back. That's because former finance minister, for a very long time was finance minister, and so you have to be careful not to still call him the finance minister, but former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been appointed as the senior presidential advisor and special envoy for international finance and private sector investment. Interestingly, I'll provide details for you. Now, there's a letter from the Office of the President signed by the Chief of Staff, the Honorable Akosua Fremont Pare, and it reads that I am pleased to inform you that the President of the Republic has appointed you as a senior presidential advisor and special envoy for international finance and private sector investment. I take this opportunity to congratulate you formally on your reassignment and wish you the very best in this new office. Please accept the President's best wishes. Curious of the dates this was written, it was on the 15th of February 2024. When was the announcement of the reshuffle announced, which relieved Ken Ofori-Atta of his position as finance minister? Your guess, 14th of February. And so the following day, this reassignment was handed over. The letter was handed over to Ken Ofori-Atta. As to what you make of this, let us know in the comment section. We're going to be connecting with financial analyst Joe Jackson just briefly for a conversation, because readily the question that comes to mind is if this position as well requires that they enjoy emolument of an Article 71 office holder, which then means that you may be getting ex gratia. All of that and more, but let us know what you think in the stream right now on Facebook, or tweet us with the hashtag Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. Ken Ofori-Atta appointed presidential advisor on interesting matters, on senior presidential advisor and special envoy for international finance and private sector investments. Try and read a few of the messages that have come through as at now and get details for you really as to what it is that is the reaction to the latest from the offices of the president. But like I mentioned, this is Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. But while we try to connect with Joe Jackson, the flag bearer of the NDC is leading the policy dialogue to fine-tune his 24-hour economy game-changer policy. And after weeks of engagement, we get the indication that stakeholders, groups, labor, ordinary Ghanaians, all of them have gathered where the Social Democracy Lab, a think tank organization, is championing the two-day event which started on Thursday, February 22nd. And we'll get details right now because Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Komla Kluche is back on the phone again. He's in the Eastern Region, Pediase, where we understand this engagement is currently happening. Now let's get details from him. Komla, talk to us. Has there been a lot more said as to how the 24-hour economy is going to be rolled out, a much deeper perspective as to what this policy is about?
So, Mawuena, as we speak, they are in a closed-door meeting, briefing John Mahama on the work they've been able to do so far. Yes, they've had a lot of discussions. They've been able to collate a lot of ideas and all that. But they have come back to be able to put all of this together and make a sense of it. Remember, John Mahama said he has a committee that's working on a comprehensive document to be released on how the 24-hour economy would be implemented. And so this is part of those strategies that they really intend. And so they are briefing John Mahama now as we speak on it. When they are done, then John Mahama would intend brief the media on what it is. Because all of this is a political strategy, it is not open to the media as of yet, except that they would only be doing a briefing on what it entails. But it's purely going to be on the 24-hour economy, to which it tasked a technical team to look into, and also they come out with a blueprint on this. So basically, that's what they are doing. But then he is yet to actually brief the media on this. But even before he got here early today, he was in the central region, specifically the Ahmadiyya Nation, in the central region of regional town of Kumasi, where he's been speaking a lot on the Electoral Commission. He's been speaking on the police, and other comments bordering on the upcoming general elections, but specifically on that of the police or the security. He's been slamming the Ghana Police Service over their decision to dissociate themselves from a comment made by their Director of Research on election security, a comment he made on a sister radio station launching their election coverage. This was what John Mahama had to say.
We must have peaceful elections. We must have security services that are neutral, security services that are loyal only to the state and not to any political party. And that is why I find strange the police service disassociation from the statement made by one of their own about the role of the military in elections. And I think he was right. The primary responsibility for election security is that of the Ghana Police Service. The Ghana Police Service is responsible for the task force that makes sure that elections are peaceful. And they invite their sister security services to participate. And so if somebody says election security is the baby of the police service, it's true. It is their primary responsibility. But because there are 40,000 polling centers, and we do not have 40,000 policemen in this country, the police service alone cannot do it. And that's why they invite immigration, fire service, and prisons to join them. And they invite the military too, but the military are not primarily responsible for election security. The military are deployed in particular locations, and they are only called when the police service cannot handle a situation. And so if somebody says the primary responsibility of election security is for the police, and as he said, the election security is the baby of the police service, I agree with him. He's right.
So that's the former president and NDC flag bearer John Mahama there providing a bit more details. Earlier I had Komla Kluche on the phone with us. This is Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. When we return, Menu Afol is here, ready and waiting with the very latest from the world of business. You're welcome back. This is Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. I mentioned Menuafo is here ready and waiting with the very latest from the world of business. She'll do that for us right now. And Menu, good evening to you.
Good evening, Mawuena.
Trust that you're well.
I'm all right. How are you too?
I'm doing well. What do you have for us in business?
Well, coming up, Dean of UCC Business School is sharing his expectations ahead of this year's State of the Nation address. We have details of that and more. All right, we'll go straight to it. Now, as government prepares to deliver the State of the Nation address on Monday, Dean of UCC Business School, Professor John Gache, has been sharing his expectations with 3 Business.
This one also happens to be the last one for the president. And I guess the president will highlight the problem and seek to indicate that he has been able to deal with the issues using the drop in inflation from 54% to around 23%, and then using the increase in the exchange rate from 6 cities in 2022 December to around 12 cities, claiming that it has stabilized at 12 cities. So I believe that is what the president will be doing. He may not be able to talk about negative issues such as the increase in the unemployment rate that has actually hit about 14.3%.
Well, in more stories, economist and professor of finance at University of Ghana, Professor Godfred Bokpin, has criticized Ghana's democracy, saying it operates at the expense of the country's macroeconomic stability. He spoke to 3 Business.
There's enough evidence that if the managers of our economy, the politicians, will be driven by the data, there's enough evidence that how we have managed and operationalized our democracy is a threat to the democracy itself. And if they want to learn from it, there is enough evidence and data to support that. So the verdict is out there. It's up to us to choose, and there are always options. How do we save our democracy from itself? We are not proposing the alternative. But the democracy, if it's not working for the people will become a bit indifferent, and the rest of them. And that is where we are now, because the democracy that we are operationalizing, I think that my considered view is that the democratic dividend does not trickle down to the ordinary Ghanaian. It's hijacked.
That was Professor of Finance and Economist at University of Ghana, Professor Godfred Bokpin. Away from that, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Wamkele Mene, says AfCFTA's digital trade protocol is expected to play a crucial role in empowering young entrepreneurs and businesses on the continent. He urges young Africans to seize this opportunity and leverage the AfCFTA's support to build successful careers in the continent's digital landscape.
We've seen goods moving across borders in accordance with the rules of this agreement. But I think that the biggest advantage that we shall see is in Africa's digital economy and digital trade. When you consider the fact that the African continent, we stream everything online since COVID-19 in particular, online e-commerce. In my view, this is where we will see an upward effect on Africa's a positive impact on Africa. It will be us implementing the digital trade protocol to accelerate the gains of a digital economy in Africa. And I want to predict that the beneficiaries, the most immediate beneficiaries, shall be and should be young Africans, the youth. Shall be and should be the youth.
And that was the voice of Secretary General at the African Continental Free Trade Area, Wamkele Mene. Wamkele Mene will be on Business Focus on Monday, February 26, 2024 at 6 p.m. on TV3. Do make time and watch. That brings us to the end of the segment. My name is Menuafo. How, Mawuena, over to you.
Thank you very much, Menuafo, and enjoy the weekend.
Same to you.
Right. From there, we do sports. So Reku Ampofo is here ready and waiting with the very latest from the world of sport. We know the Black Queens are playing today, and Midiama as well, all in very important games, I should say.
Not going too well for Ghana at the moment. Halftime at the Accra Sports Stadium, Zambia lead by 1-0. Should have been more. Looking at the chances created by the Copper Queens, and almost full time in Kumasi, I'll actually lead Midiama by 1-0.
Wow, not so great, but give us the details. Hopefully the ladies can't turn it around.
They have way more time. Our correspondent Billy Shen was watching the first half, and he put together this report.
It is approaching halftime here at the Accra Sports Stadium, and currently the Black Queens are trailing Zambia by 1-0 in the 2024 Olympic Games qualifier. Now, the goal came from Rachel Kundananchi, who is currently the most expensive female player in the world. In the 19th minute, she got onto a through pass, beat her marker, and gave a very delightful chip over the goalkeeper Victoria Eje to get that 1-goal lead for Zambia. And so currently the Black Queens have to find a way to come back from the 1-goal deficit. They've only managed a shot so far in this game, and they're looking like the side who isn't really in control of the game.
And so the Black Queens would have 45 more minutes to turn it around against the Copper Queens in the Olympic qualifiers. Just a reminder that this is the penultimate round. If they do go past Zambia, they would face either Tunisia or Morocco. Ghana has never qualified for the Olympic Games for the women's football. And so it's a very, very important landmark that they're trying to reach. In other news, in Kumasi, Al Ahly are leading Midiama by 1-0. Our correspondent, Rafael Sarkodie, was at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium and has all the details.
So it is not looking good for Midiama here at the Baba Yara Stadium. Midiama is down by a goal against Ali. Goal scored by Hussein Ali Hassan, who capitalized on a blunder from Midiama defense and scored that goal, which has, as it were, given Ali the lead over here. And Midiama has been huffing and puffing, but it's been very difficult for Midiama to come out with an equalizer. They have created some decent chances, but they have failed to utilize those chances. And the supporters over here at the Baba Yara Stadium are very, very frustrated. You could look at attendance here and say, well, comparatively in terms of the attendance we've had for our local game, this is quite decent. At least you can have about 3,000 to 4,000 people at the Baba Yara Stadium cheering on Midiama here. One thing is significant here, the ultras of Al Ali, right from Egypt, are here in their numbers supporting Ali and cheering the team up. Ali has been very strategic today. What they have done is that they have not been overly adventurous. What they have done is to hold their own, keep their shape, keep their momentum, wait for their chances, and when they get it, they panic.
And so that was Rafael Sarkodie. The game is just a few minutes away from its end. If it stays this way, Midiama's journey would be really difficult. They need to win their last game away at Young Africans, and that is a very, very
doesn't look like
task.
they will. I'm a very realistic person. I don't like to win. They won't win if they don't beat Ahly today. But Oreku, many thanks for the details from the world of sports. That's my colleague Oreku Ampofo with 3 sports. Now it's 3 entertainment's time to shine. And guess who? None other but Akofa with the very latest. Akofa, talk to me, man. What do we have today?
We're starting. We're starting with the Musicians Union of Ghana Music. They're set to bring back their flagship project, Ghana Music Week, after 6 years of being put on hold. Now, the reactivated initiative, now known as Ghana Music Month, seeks to celebrate Ghanaian music and empower artists through series of seminars designed to help musicians find financial stability. Musical President Bessa Simons has been speaking to 3 Entertainment's Owusu Arai.
In line with the Ghana Month celebration,
Musica has outlined a wide range of activities to promote and celebrate the creativity of Ghanaian music talents in the month of March. The Ghana Music Month will kickstart on March 5 with a free health screening for musicians across the country. The union is encouraging pubs, media outlets and Ghanaians to play only Ghana music on March 11 as part of its Play Ghana Music agenda.
Radio stations in Ghana and television stations project Ghanaian music, play Ghanaian music all over. And we are also sending our executives out there to sell Musica, to let people know what Musica stands for.
Also expected to feature prominently on the lineup of activities are two major seminars aimed at helping artists find financial stability.
Empowering and giving people knowledge through capacity building. And this time, we want musicians to also see the businesses they can do alongside music. I mean, I remember when I was in UK, there is something like, if you know you are not fast or sharp when it comes to playing in a band, don't lose your day job, which means whatever you do, you must earn a living. I've seen a lot of artists in Ghana do it. You know, even some of the big stars, still some have farms, some have this, some have that, and this is what we are going to encourage musicians to look at.
All right, away from that, let's turn our attention to the National Film Authority CEO, Juliet Ya Asante. She, in an interview with Bella Mundi earlier today, talked about the NFL advert shot at the popular Makola market in Accra. She mentioned that it employed about 1,500 Ghanaians and Ghana's economy received an indirect influx of $2 million.
It has to be, I would say, a certain number, a large, more than 50%, almost 60 to 70% Ghanaians. And so if you look at the recent example that we had, you see that it employed over 1,500 Ghanaians. That production alone, you look at the market scene. All the market people in there will be taken care of, for example. Beyond that, the exposure, the PR, somebody gave an example that it cost about $7 million to advertise on the Super Bowl. We got over 2 minutes.
Yes.
That leads to what you call film tourism, because now you have so many people reaching out and saying that I want to come to Ghana, or I'm proud to be Ghanaian, I feel great that I'm a Ghanaian, I want to come and see this country. So it has all manner of benefits that.
Well, before I go, there's an update from the Guinness World Records concerning if you were very interested in this story.
Everybody is.
Yeah, everybody is. So there's a post that they made. It was actually a reply to someone's question, because people wanted to know when the update was coming through. So they mentioned, or they said, unfortunately, first Guinness World Records attempt for the longest singing marathon was not successful. But we hope that she will make another attempt soon. We've seen how inspirational it has been for her fans. The evidence check had already begun before Ifua requested priority service, so we refunded her payment earlier this month. We wish Ifua the best of luck with any future record attempts.
Rather unfortunate how it's all turned out, but we wish her the very best.
We are doing that.
And if she wants to try again, she should come get you to do that along with her, because with the tag team, I can trust that we'll break the record. And you're one splendid singer, even though I think people know now, because we've been doing singing once a while on the Drive.
Yes, and then on Wind Down sometimes. Yeah, I do that. This is you trying to get me to sing. I'm not going to sing.
We're not going to sing on that. It could be nice to get people to enjoy the weekend, though, but anyways, I'm not going to be able to get a Kofa to sing, and so
it's good you know that.
That's how we're going to wrap up this evening's edition of Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. As always, a lot more news if you log on to 3news.com. I am Mawuena Egbeta. Enjoy the weekend and do take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.